o marang moula mayop au ngil madangali armula bela
madalwa ise kada momol mol merselong edel el barasit del program rigid makti amalo sem notrigi meud tirgal terul lobekal gartianga tirga to gobetsel gastrigid makmo omlo togram rigel lonita tir matmosyo gartir ikad momol mol maldu Irene. So we're going to resume our third part of our program. So I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, you and your beautiful wife here. And then I must say that I'm astonished that this man is 84 years old. And his wife is 23 years old younger than him. But let that be a later discussion. But the floor is yours, and then I'm going to ask Irene to summarize in Palawan what you say in English.
Okay. Ali, and thank you, Moses and Irene, and thank you for this opportunity to be here and share a few thoughts about what we've been doing. My name is Lloyd, with one L. I'm a 1L Lloyd, very unusual, Lloyd HENION, H-E-N-I-O-N. And it's kind of a French name, but the French have a nicer pronunciation. They say Henyon.
Oh, okay.
So if I was selling wine, I would be Henyon.
Okay.
But I am Lloyd Henyon, and then I'm going to let I'm from the state of Oregon, born on a farm in 1939, and that does come out to be 84. And we were milking cows the old way. I'll show this behavior here. And finally, my father got a milking machine, and I thought, boy, that is really high technology. But we raised peppermint, and we raised corn, and we raised beets and vegetables, and we could make a living on 100 acres in those days.
Wow.
But today you have to have 1,000 acres in the United States to make a living because the equipment is big, and so basically it's a different life and different kind of farming. But in those days, it reminds me of Palau a little bit because we had small communities and people helped each other when they got in trouble.
And work with their hands, huh?
And work with their hands, yes. And I have photos of my mother out in the carrot field with sacks and taking the tops off the carrots and putting the carrots in the sacks and so on.
Okay.
So there's... But the important thing, it was a different life then on the farm, and that's where I came from. I went to a little high school in Jefferson, Oregon, and then I was fortunate because my father wanted me to go to college, and so I was the very first person in my family to go to college at Portland State University in the big city of Portland, Oregon.
Wow.
And that was pretty exciting. And then after that, I decided I really like economics, so I will go into economics, and I went to Washington State University for graduate school, and I finished everything but my PhD dissertation. But I had 2 children at this point, Shannon and Shauna, and I decided I need to get to work and make some money. So I came back and applied for a job at the Oregon Department of Transportation and ended up being the transportation economist, chief economist, and worked there for 30 years.
Wow.
And I became an evangelist for certain ways to pay for highways. And we did these studies called cost responsibility studies, and it showed that trucks, even though they were only 10% of the traffic, they were responsible for 30% of the damage to the roads. And so I did a lot of research and a lot of writing about that. And we started a program of making trucks pay for their fair share by paying according to their weight and the number of miles they traveled. And that became kind of a national I got a little bit of a national reputation from that, so I got invited around the United States and the Federal Highway Administration to talk in many places. Now, I wasn't the favorite person for the truckers because they would rather have the cars pay for the roads. But anyhow, that was my first career, and I can get into my second career in a moment, but I would like to maybe let my wife say a few things about first before I do that.
Okay. The floor is yours.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Hennion, and my nickname is Steve. I am a registered nurse, still working in Salem, Oregon. And I work in the inpatient rehab department where people, after they've had strokes or been in a car accident or something like that, they get rehabilitated so that rather than going to a nursing home, which gratefully you don't have in Palau, but we do in the United States, they can go home instead because everybody wants to go home. Right. And so I'm very excited to be in that department. But I have been helping Lloyd with his endeavors, which he'll explain in a minute, for about 10 years, and just recently have started to assist with another organization that is more for COFA citizens living in the United States. Is called CANN Foundation. CANN Foundation, and we are just starting out. We're so new, we don't even have a website, but we are there for assisting COFA residents to not just live in the United States, but to thrive, to do well.
Well, with that, let's go with you, and then you just summarize after that.
So what happened was my father was getting older. About 86, he got cancer and had an operation, and then only had about a year to live. And I promised my father that I would keep my mother. She's 6 years younger than my father, on the farm, because she had to be working in the dirt, and that's what she loved. And I knew that she would not do well in a nursing home. Besides that, I just don't believe in sending old people to nursing homes. So we decided that after my father died, that we would do the best we could to keep her going in her home. And so we did that for a while, but pretty soon it got really difficult, so we put an ad in the newspaper. And this lady from the Marshall Islands answered the ad and ended up living in our farmhouse with my mother, taking care of her for 4 years. And if you know one Marshallese, you know 1,000. And so the Marshallese are the second largest minority population in Salem, Oregon, and not very many people know that. But they found our home, our farm home, and they came down, and my mother loves children, and she gets down and plays with all of the children, and then the Marshallese loved the music and singing, and so
it became like a gathering place for the Marshallese.
It did. It became a gathering place for the Marshallese and a family, and then pretty soon it expanded to the FSM people, the Pohnpeians and Chukis and others. And then I started learning about the history of the United States with the COFA nations. And it
COFA nations is
the Compact of Free Association Nations. And
three nations. Yeah.
And we use, I know it's the federal freely associated states, but I like to use the word COFA. I'd like to get it right down to what it is, the compact, because it's so unique. The United States only has this this unique relationship with 3 countries in the whole entire world. And it became so meaningful to me that the people from these 3 nations join our military and help preserve the freedom for the entire world and sacrifice their people, their treasured blood. And
you know, number-wise, the most, in terms of population, per capita would I for US, you know.
I've made that statement, Moses, to the Oregon legislators. Every legislator in Oregon knows that. And
so what did Camila tell you that got you started?
Yes, and so Camila said.
And who is Camila?
Camila is the Marshallese lady who we now consider to be part of our family.
Yeah, she's part of our family. So Camila said, Lloyd, are you going to do something about that? About the driver's license issue, because we only get 1-year driver's cards, and because of that we can't get bank accounts, we can't get jobs, we can't get leases, you know, and because employers don't even know who we are, why we here. What is this 1-year card? You know, who are these people? Are they aliens? They do. And so I said, Camila, I'll do something about that, because I did a lot of lobbying for transportation. I'll just transfer that skill to the extent I have it to fixing that problem. So I promised Camila, and so every once in a while she'd say, Lloyd, how are you doing with that? And I would say, well, I've talked to so-and-so, the Senator so-and-so, and so. But finally I got really serious about it. And I started talking to many more legislators, and finally we said, we'll just start a bill. Because I knew how to do
in Oregon.
In Oregon. And we did. We got a bill passed. That was 100% no negative votes. But during that process, we were able to explain to every legislator, all 90, essentially, who the COFA people were. And what the treaties were about, and that we had the treaties. And what was interesting about it was most of them didn't even know about the treaties and who the COFA people were. But because of we started an organization, we decided we needed to do that, called COFA Alliance National Network. That's what this T-shirt's about. And that organization basically dedicated itself to learning more about the treaties and learning more about how to make life in the United States fairer and more equitable in all respects for COFA residents in the United States.
Can you stop and then can you just summarize that part, the latest part?
I was supposed to summarize everything.
Oh, okay. So
let me just take this opportunity and speak briefly in Palawan. Just a summary. Akmal mereng asulir other belal tiro ko pangketeng irma al melmuter el all time kidakmal ngal tangat talanggal adalo bangketa LOYD HENION ma pailra Stephanie, she goes by Stephanie HENION tiranga adra Oregon. Engka kita lulu ay sa ngirmang alwase ulmang lamo matangali belang artiang aulumu ulil tamalam lo klol adal mosme eratala mal swal tinga raplal tiakal poloroid manglo si ganglilu lil siamara newspaper moraigal papiel lo sigra adal sabel me olang sertilo patalal eng tilo ang kaigidal imor radira marcial al kamilang klel Masaya ulit tama kautangay ngwasya umatangal imol adra marshal kamatangal tarir taltelael arangal kama adra marshal mon mutar adra FSM at tirgal adra ikal yun salgit at tulor tir adra ng yun sa amlo may sal mortial sarsir blirir mang tumloka tinge malmlokora aungil kaungalaka mang melmuter el ang yang kay gidel kamila tir ka tuloy ra tulungalaka tir mang waseng lo kel wase yakal sabem ngosu ko mamal mo ay kal driver's license ka mamal titarak ay kang maringa ka mama mal maurera mal makater tal ubagili sa plimam ka mamal adrayun ay kay gidel kaldel yun sa FSM ma Marshall Mapelaw ay kal lo legera LOYD wase ngungil dito legel wase ang COFA nations ngingal kaldel belu sel the freely associated states and yakal salungil madinger adlo say kangker ya LOYD wase amraring gira dal tuli sel ngiak man klel ngigel kaldel belu rablul ath al marikel angariya tokubet sel daluil lobangel ya ikanga huldi mukra Marshall Islands ma Federated States of Micronesia ma Palau melang kay gidel kamil matirga lo ke rengil adra lulpentril mlamot tulungal kartira ulumong mlomo lingi mabil Steve wasem mlamo 10 years mlamo turi الراق لو ريول كيرا لا يجيد المسوب الممدنغليل سلمال وسايكال البيلاو ما مارشال ما فيدريتد ستيتس البطوغ أثريل موسول دار أمريكيل تغوبات المقلن غارتيل مملنيات الديرغ الكيريل تيال ميموكل الكلاطر كيدر أمريكيل تيرغات مال وانغرا الآذي وانغرا يكال بلو من مسوب الملموتر الآن متملامو رسل لدون COFA Alliance National Network تجد لدو CANN CANN COFA Alliance National Network engi alabis temengi amal ngpil ol nga sertir temlamo ora kamara kalong atu raigal legislatures rabulura merikel engi lusel kuktaal raigal mleurere rangaramong ilgukolingit ilkirela atirgel torak البول كلولو ذود على أولابلم سا قبل من تلقيه لا تلملل عرائل ديال ملايم بايتورا نيلو سيجد الدال الجوك مرتيال واسه مغران يا قبل من ترامريكا لامول نسيو راي كايجي the COFA nations اي قال ميجي غريس البلو لني اتيرق الكمال لول نسيو ديال البلو رامريكا. Thank you.
Palawan is beautiful. I actually understood most of it.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's just a summary.
Yes, it is very good. Well, we knew at the time that we were getting the driver's license passed, that was just the first step. And I was telling all of the legislators, there's more to come, because this is just one thing to make lives more equitable and fair in the United States for COFA people. We noticed that green card holders, people that aren't even citizens, they're just immigrants from other countries, they get medical care in the United States, and they get more benefits than COFA people do. And they don't join our military. Mm-hmm. They said, well, what's wrong with that? That's not fair. Mm-hmm. And so we decided Medicare is next, or Medicaid, excuse me. And so we then proposed what we called a COFA Premium Assistance Program, mm-hmm. what was Medicaid-like. And in other words, because we had Obamacare, they could already be eligible for Obamacare, but they still had to pay the premiums in order to get Medicaid. And so we passed, on the bill that we passed, the Oregon taxpayers would make up the difference. And so we had Medicaid-like insurance coverage for COFA people. And then because we got that passed unanimously in Oregon, we got the same thing passed in Washington State. And then we said, we'll use that to get a national Medicaid coverage for COFA people in the United States. And we started talking to our Congress people, like Senator Rono, want to give her lots of credit, big shout out, and a big from Hawaii, and Senator Wyden from Oregon. And so in the COVID relief bill, the Congressional COVID Relief Bill of 2020, somehow the senators got that Medicaid coverage for COFA people slipped into that bill, and President Trump signed the bill. I'm not sure that he knew it was in there, but it was. But that's, you know, that happens a lot in big bills. People get things put in the bills that other writers that people don't know in the bill. But we were really pleased that got put in the bill. So one evening, and I like to tell this story, we were having a dinner at our home, and we had invited the Consul General from the Marshall Islands and the Consul General from the Federated States of Micronesia for dinner at our place, and their wives. And so while we were having dinner, I got this a cell phone call on my mobile phone from Senator Wyden. And he said, "Lloyd, I would like you to know the President just signed the bill."
That's during COVID.
During COVID in 2020, just signed the bill, and now COFA people are covered under Medicaid.
Wow!
And
in
then
the U.S. or only in
living in the U.S.
That's interesting.
Yes, and Senator Wyden wanted us to be the first to know, and so we were. I'll just admit it. We don't drink a lot, but we did have a glass of wine, and to celebrate. And we all toasted each other because we'd been working on this together. Yes. And then 5 minutes later, the president of FSM, President David Panuel, called. And so we said, okay, we have to toast again. Because we shared with him.
Yes.
So Palauans also became eligible?
Yes, Palauans, all of the COFA nations.
From COFA nations are eligible for Medicaid now.
Okay, look, stop that. Okay, summarize that. This is important. Can you summarize that?
Are you done with the story, or shall I wait till you?
Oh, he's not done, but it's a good introduction.
Oh, okay.
We all people with...
Oh, Lloyd, wow. And Stephanie, Steve. This is just the start of your story, and I don't want to cry tears of joy, but I could say praise God. It's great news what you've just shared. So this was during COVID. Okay. Ngkal mabiil mal suata other belaw polo ng trire ngirmang letya luriol plalo tela rakal girel seguida el teme la COVID ngagida lo aisulwa se tangarab liri lo mungur tir mangkale adra marshal makuk adra FSM el tirgele General Council tirgel gukor teera aigel baluril marabrigel etir marbarir ablel invite til marablirir tadong oklo mungur emergong yang wadeng wara Senator Wyden
and Hirono
and Senator Hirono Hawaii, Senator Wyden is Oregon. The terul senators ramrigel Senator Oregon ma Senator Hawaii Odeng wal moringi lei melbunga tolongalel low ice lo setial luriol blamoru ringi rilil mobil iglabir mora congress sab el mora federal government ablal sign ringi President Trump mang lapas mang tiagi del bil wase bol tabasul arogul ngesora Medicare at togoir hospital maugrul el mora arogul adal moldi mukrar adra igal kaldel COFA nations ar adra marshal mar adra FSM mar adra belaw
الكراء سامريكل
الكيرا السلام ريجل روغوي متيانا أجيرة المال مرينا ساول رنجل تقولين مال مساول قال أعظم بإيلا Lloyd and Steve, thank you so much. قد مرينا سولير لين التقدم داسول وسين مال دي تريجل نرا سيربابل تريجي يمرولا لا إقوني روغوي ديجا ترغاو لمو النرا سرسير ترغال لونغالغا Ema matangal tarir ar adrayun sululang asera tarir. Ema at atu ema mo lawrer tialureo lolsis blosengra uling diakal sabedong usutrit tirgamel polungila driver license tir kol sabel mabutok rak ngai gitro ay sumasengar ngar Amerikel diakal citizen Amerikel esabira license til الكمان التي أم عرب لا يمرولا أصورير الدياغل الديمقراط نرى ميليتري رمريجل مالملو بيرو كراود سويل سلوا سيار أدرا COFA نيشن سلسبيل تيرا أصولداول ديرغلم تأي مسبق قرقيت نرى من دياغل الديمقراط تغير وغرون مرتير ما تغير درايفرز لايسنس ما كي كده أم عرب لا ما angara Amerikel matial bil lururingi au lumu al malgagarel molmong labil molmom segi del lora aklol Congress Amerikel ito saying ringi mang lamolla.
So can you explain, like, since you started with this Merciless Woman all the way to all this license, how many of these programs that the COFA people in US are now eligible to? Can you name all of them?
I think
license?
Steve also wants to share too.
So we can,
Okay.
Okay. So I would just like to summarize the history of the social programs in the United States and make a statement about American healthcare. That in the United States, under the TTPI and up until 1996, COFA citizens living in the United States qualified for all the social, what we call the social safety net, which includes Medicaid, welfare, housing assistance, food stamps, all of that. That when someone is not making enough money to pay their bills, they can get some help, just like Americans, just like people who are qualified as immigrants. That was during the Trust Territory times, and then up until 1996. In 1996, President Clinton revised welfare program. So, and it was kind of a, what do you call that kind of error? Where it just was, people were just left out. Basically, the COFA citizens were just left out of the bill. And so they were at that time no longer qualified because they're not U.S. citizens, they are not immigrants, they are legal residents, but the social safety net bills are pretty specific about who can get them. So for the time being, from 1996 until now, COFA citizens have had a really hard time in the U.S. because they cannot get the help that other people can get. And LOYD is just really dedicated to fairness and helping people. And so that was his intention. So now, nationally, Medicaid is medical care for lower income people. Medicaid is available to COFA citizens as well as immigrants and U.S. citizens.
Very good.
wow.
Yeah.
I want to say, she said LOYD, and that's true, but LOYD includes a lot of other people.
Oh, yes.
I want to give some credit now to the other people. David Anatok, who was the first president of CANN. And David is Marshallese, and now he's just been elected as a senator from ILUC in the Marshall Islands.
Oh, wow.
And I just talked to him just before we came here today. And Kiana Angelo, a Marshallese born person that was raised as a little baby till 25 years old, and then she found out, I'm Marshallese. I don't know anything about.
Oh, wow.
I don't know anything about the Marshall Islands. I don't know. But she finally started researching. She found her birth mother and was able to talk to her birth mother on the telephone just before she died, and she went to her funeral. But she started an organization called Living Islands, but she was a part of our organization at the beginning. And then
10 years ago?
2014.
And your first bill passed in 2012, right?
We passed the bill before the organization.
Right. So, so CANN was initiated in 2014.
2014. But then the other person I want to give a shout out to was Chris Ogo. And Chris is in Saipan, he's from Tinian, and he's, I think, a senator there now, but he was in Salem, and so he became a part of our organization to begin with. Would you like to add something?
Wayne Baum.
And Wayne Baum, who is a good friend of mine, remains a good friend of mine. He's an Oregon resident.
But these people were at the Capitol every day, talking to legislators, telling them about the COFA nations, telling them about the plight every day, all day.
And let me say, while I'm the official lobbyist and was there every day, David Anatok and others, and the other people I mentioned, and I didn't mention Joe Inlet yet, but later on he became very important. And Beanie Moses, boy, I don't want to leave out our Palauan, my God.
Beanie Moses,
Masuba. She's Mrs. Everything, and she was helped us organize this trip here.
Where is he from? UL?
I'm not sure.
Narard, I thought.
Narard?
Wow. I believe, and she went to the Catholic high school here.
Mizinti.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her in many, many years. We get her emails all the time.
She comes and recruits students to Eastern Oregon University. Big shout out to Eastern Oregon University in La Grande. And everybody seems to know Eastern Oregon University here.
Yes.
But anyhow, I just wanted to say that the effort was way beyond me, and the important thing, the most important thing, was bringing the people, the COFA people themselves, into the hearings, and so our legislators could find out who they were and tell their stories. Now that is powerful.
But I tell you, that's a hard thing to do. I've lived in Washington. Boy, it's so hard because these people, they don't know you. They say, so who are you? So it's, lobbying is a big, it's also a big business, but it's tough,
Yeah. That's why it was important for me to be in the legislature every day and develop relationships on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats.
Correct.
And most people in the legislature don't know if I'm a Republican or a Democrat. And I don't want them to know.
Yes.
Because it doesn't matter at this level. What really matters is equity, fairness. For the COFA people. That's what matters. That's the only thing that matters. And as long as they understand the importance of this unique relationship the United States has with only 3 countries, if they understand that, and they understand the sacrifice, the military sacrifice, and the burdens that you're still going through, and they want to do the right thing. What I've discovered, if they really totally understand it, they're anxious to do the right thing and feel good about voting for the bill.
Great.
So I don't, while my wife gives me a lot of credit, I appreciate that, but I want to give the credit to where it really belongs. And it really belongs to the people, the COFA people themselves.
Let them summarize again.
Oh, you and your wife, you're both brilliant God-sent people for helping the COFA nations, and we thank you. Ang kal ruba ka mal swallow ay slose altang nga ka ulumu le oriol kirel tiang nga mapi kending mal swa ka bolo ting bekla atolose ngarngi tirgel blolo mas unclear el adra igay del COFA nations. Ta adra Marshall, adra ma FSM, moldi mukra beni Moses Musub del adra belau. Tirgaigi del lulbangel, lulmas unclear, akmal mlebek el sils, lobantarir el ngartia legislature. Ratutal mo kabsangay engi also sepertir mar congressmen mar congresswomen ramrigel asabil mo mestrir emom dingel wase tirgatakmal adarger wangra ikal buluril nangaringi leng aloy da wase close to telel sel got close to telel tiaigi del dalwil ay gakmal dikkel del bulul other rogir el ngi ang aringi tiagi del tokubets el dalwil labangela bulura United States of America mangmal girir ar adalom tera United States of America ngara Congress el momadeng el wasetir gato tatuata al egal buluri rung wangarang tumakarang yasab ilmo pantaril soldaw masab aklay galbulu masayam leurerel malswal mle alarbekla ada bolo dengel waset tumle kaingaseu ngi mapeil mar batoklat lu ulang losab el saygidal la alapas ringira Congress amrigel.
So let me ask you, so you have a farm and you work for the Transportation Department of Oregon, no? And you became lobbyist. This is a NGO, non-government organization dedicated to do this. And you've been doing this, and so you are, I guess, coming to Palau for the first time to see what the place is and what you're working at. But I understand you have become a Marshallese citizen.
Wow.
That's correct. I'm an honorary Marshallese citizen, and they honored me in a way that it is touching. I can't even express how I feel, but I did. I am very dedicated to the Marshallese, but I am just as dedicated to the Yapis, to the Pohnpeians, to the Koshrayans, and then the Chukis, and the Palauans, and so I wouldn't mind being an honorary citizen of every place.
Yes. Why not? Yeah.
And so it's they did it, and maybe it's because we started with the Marshallese and all of that. And I've been to the Marshall Islands twice, and I know a lot of the people there, the presidents and the senators. And I stay close to them. Shout out to Speaker Katie and Senator Benson and President David Kavu and many others. But the same goes for FSM, for the senators in there, and now your legislators that we had the privilege of meeting with last night. I think were there 4 senators there, and Salvador was one of them.
And Senator Salvador Talams. Is he the one who found you in Oregon, or
no?
No.
How did you? It was Benny who arranged.
Benny Moses.
Yeah. Okay.
She wrote a letter to us. So.
She wrote
Yes.
And so we had a great discussion last night. The Senate President was there, and Steve, you're better with pronunciations than I am.
Well, I remember Senator Eldebehel and Senator Talames and Senator Whips.
And Senator Baules.
That's the Senate President.
Wow.
And we have pictures with the whole group.
Very good.
And Senator Whips, we really enjoyed him. He's got a great personality, likes to joke and kid. And so do I. So
Well, you've met the right people.
Yes.
So no, okay. So again, so can you just outline, because I'm interested to know like what Medicaid is done, the license thing is done. What else has been done? Because I mean, these are technical stuff because laws says what. So our eligibility, especially Palauans and the COFA people, and what remained to be done, and what is your CANN organization? How is it now, and what are you doing these days?
Thank you for that question. And yes, I would have preferred to have one big bill and do it all at once.
Yeah.
But it just can't do that way. You can't do it. You have to do it piecemeal. So we started with the driver's license. That was the most important. Then what's more important than health care? That had to be second. Then next,
that was in Oregon.
That was in Oregon.
Oregon.
And then we got that expanded, as we just explained, to the federal level. And so if you do it Steve, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying the driver's license is state by state. It's not a national thing.
That's true.
And many of the other bills that have been passed in Oregon, and I just would like to clarify that our philosophy is kind of, if we start here and go to the states, then the federal will finally pay attention.
Yes.
So the next thing was education. What's more important than and getting everybody an equal chance at education, at higher education, to become doctors, to become attorneys like you, and to become teachers and professional jobs, because that's where the higher salaries are. But the out-of-state tuition that COFA people had to pay was extreme. And they maybe the families would save for their students for a year or two, and then run out of money.
Or we take years. I was 45 when I finally paid off my student loans.
That's it, and paying forever. So we knew this was important, and so I want to give a shout out to Senator Dimbro in Oregon, who understood how important this was, and Eastern Oregon University, and Beanie Moses gets a big shout out on this one, and Senator Hansel, Senator Bill Hansel of the district where Beanie lives, and so we all worked together to get an in-state tuition bill passed. So now that COFA people in Oregon can pay exactly the same as Oregonians, and what's more important,
that's wonderful.
They can be there in just 5 minutes. So this is better than.
They don't have to reside for a year.
They don't have to reside. There's no residential requirement.
Wow.
And so
that's good for students. I mean,
So for once, COFA people get even a better benefit than green card holders.
Well, but it's appropriate though, because in most in the COFA nations, the minimum wage is significantly less than what it is in the United States, and so sending someone to university is almost unreachable, and the burden that the students had to bear in order to stay there and live there and pay their rent and their tuition and their book. I mean, it's just huge. So
I had 3 jobs to be able to
exactly.
I was a student.
You would tell the story.
I was a student in Hawaii. I was on scholarship, presidential scholarship. But I still have to work at night, drive taxi and clean dishes too. Because we have that requirement, the out-of-state tuition.
Yeah, very expensive.
And we work so hard in Hawaii to change it. I was one of we go to the state legislature and I work part-time in the state legislature to make it took us like 1 year. We have that change.
So when we talk about going forward, one of the plans of going forward is education, doing what we did in Oregon for in-state tuition is very, very important to us to get it accomplished in other states, because we're expanding outside of Oregon. And so we're going to be working with legislators in other states and trying to duplicate some of them, this and other states, because COFA people are all over the United States.
Yes.
And so we know that, and so we now have a national plan involved. We'll talk about that a little bit later, a little bit more, but we just want to say that we know how important education is, and in-state tuition is so important. And the stories that you told Moses, and you've told Irene about your work, having to work extra time and the amount of time paying off your debts, is we hear that over and over again from all of the COFA people, and even my wife had to work 3 jobs.
So what areas now, in what state are you expanding to?
And our first target is Texas, because of the number
There's a lot of COFA people there.
Yeah, military people. And there's 3 or 4 bases there in Killeen, Texas, and others. And so we've got the president of the CANN Foundation is actually in Killeen, Texas, and so we've established chapters, what we call CANN chapters. One in Texas, one in Arizona, and one in Washington, and now one in Oregon. So we have all these CANN chapters, and we're going to maybe expand to Iowa and Oklahoma, and where concentrations of COFA people are, so that we can then use those CANN chapters to help us organize the people and get done what we've done in Oregon. So that's our plan. And then get it done at the national level. That's where it really needs to happen.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Yeah. Wow.
So
come so easy.
I'll let you.
Yeah. Mal lungilay kalplal ngirmang mal batok alwaseng tulumura a Oregon selgo kalangaringi intit mla mulay kel tutung kora ab chapter ertial COFA Alliance National Network ertir el ansori lomer garingil mora Texas mal batoka igel baser soldado ngarse mal batoka atraigal Marshall mabelau ma FSM ngarse etiregal mlaber gal mora Washington Ending wase ay galungil tokoy am la multimuk raigegi del tokoy driver license maigal residency ra adal diagatil kiril mengil motarrak madire gal tokor hospital am la mo mlapaste gi del la mo la se gi del nga se ora gi del tokoy el atoko reol waseng makarange tokuk osisbia tokoy ra school melam batoka rangal garay kay gi del COFA nations el maral mor Oregon el morsel Eastern Oregon State University. Mal beto kar adal matingeling ay kal program sa tiram lamo all tay kay gidel wase dia kalaway ka mga karatang school malimis el maring la ara la school katulum ara waya tuition rat adal dia kal adara palu ang el plabol sa biirem lamo tabasul lamo sisiu sel ara la school el diwaya adra Oregon ya adra Marshall ma FSM mabela diwaya adra Oregon el sisiu ara la school diregal mlomas Steve aigel baby ra kuktoy ra Medicaid aigel ngesul morar adal tira malgare income tir modakal sabil ditil mar hospital tir ma schoolir ay gayam la makatmok ma selurungule la LOYD ma Steve matiale organization tira CANN awase polsob el mortial mrigel roguil states amrigel mo national bolsob irara adra Marshall FSM mapelau di mawayar adra mrigel ay gal ngeswel mortir ay seya urungulir lettermeng saikal dosaw dulwase at ngara school and ditakal de urere de mring la ara la school abel sedral student loans ma mring la dalang ok mal sorry rabol tabasul el merikit.
We have 10 minutes to go, so we need to okay, so we'll
do you mind, we have a caller, people are listening, this is the most watched talk show program in entire Palau. He's been around for 8 years doing this show. UDESUALL is a Palauan word that means food for thought or very important things to think about and discuss. So the caller just want to maybe share or ask a question.
Caller on the air.
Will to tau. Man saul gilale. Ide lo bekel. Narulia malungil tol mera. Jadi kita ada belau ma ara kita ada efisien. Indonesia. Dia kita awali oseng kelmoni ngil amal beragol oseng le maral close to tele la school la tai. Kita arang kita all ada apa sekolah PCC. Baru para bulan apa bulan apa sembilan tahun tinggal ada school. Ini after 1 year dengan masuk betul residence makata tapi outer nangayo ada sekolah mablay makara mengilasir gumis dia lo begal mal masaul abai huwa ti uktisya kasya sumo mo tangat mo anor citizen ra honorable citizen abul belau yang arnya soal kora rulia bli ra abul belau sebab ngoswiri kukulia ada klera abul belau misal kukangara abul ngabar kuklemera abul belau en sebel ngari abli mangkeri yang tiap tokol blada lia al mergi del abul belau ma rama matrusyak mal clo tu trele la wajid la mo ngali o kwatial skola mar clo tu trele dijide komam sulang mega.
Let me translate. They are listening and they're super grateful for what you've done. And so they hope that not only the things that you've done to also include Palau, that we have had help, that you will also be an honorary citizen of Palau, but more importantly, if you want to have a vacation home or another residence in Palau, we Palauans can get together and help build you a house. So you and your wife can always come to Palau and have a place.
That is so generous, so kind, and I just find the Palauan people very, very special among the people of the world.
You know, that's one thing, we have lots of land here, more land than the Martians. So there's all green stuff and open space, so I'm sure he's willing to give his family land or his land for you to build a house here.
Yeah, he's very grateful because he says now our children and grandchildren can have education.
Education in
yes, in the US.
Oh, that is so one. I just wanted to add one more thing, since I didn't mention the law enforcement, but since COFA people join the military, they're already trained.
Yeah.
We thought, why not let them become law enforcement agents in Oregon? Oh. And so we got a bill passed in Oregon so they can become state police officers, county police officers, city police officers, and now I've got to really be doubly nice to COFA people because they might arrest me.
Wow. But yeah, you know, we have a lot of our kids in Guam and Saipan and even in Hawaii who are police officers, but I think they're U.S. citizens. You know, they were born there, so I think. But that's
right.
Yeah, I think if they're COFA citizens,
I took a special bill.
Yeah, okay.
So we got that too, and that was really. And we also got a dental bill passed, and I just wanted to mention that because teeth are important too.
Yeah, I know. To be eligible for that in Oregon.
In Oregon.
Oh, okay.
Ang kadira kalaw ay sa favorite to kol mlam katmok letial state ra Oregon akram lamo dire kal to kubet sa state el mergid el tirgal ataringi apil sil tokora la el dire kal mla ru ra balura Oregon amo sabira other belau ma marshal ma FSM el mobulis maluet to re raigal to koira mangkarangela balu El diwayar adar Amerikel. Malmutol kuk imong, amlamo ngaringisel la ala omrura ungaleth. El sabirar adara igal COFA Nation, salmora igel dental. Emrula ungalir el diocese wa aralingi marbeklaat. Mo tabasul.
I see.
Thank you.
Can you?
Absolutely. So I would just like to mention that we would appreciate and welcome anybody that would like to join CANN, the COFA Alliance National Network. And so I would like to invite everyone to go on the internet to www.cann.us or contact LHENION at cann.us or give him a phone call at 541-619-8861.
You can be a member from Palau.
From Palau, I think it might cost us $3 a minute, doesn't it? But we can do it on WhatsApp.
No, I mean be
On WhatsApp.
resident in Palau and then be a,
That's right.
and join.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
sure. I think so.
Sure, I think
It's
so.
a non-profit organization, right?
Yes,
Correct.
you could. Or I just wanted to add, or B Moses at cann.us if you want to speak Palauan.
Okay. So Benny is the contact for those who want to speak Palawan.
Yes.
Yeah, because we don't know Palauan.
Well, consider Irene and I member.
Yes, we are lobbyists ourselves.
We're
lobbyists ourselves.
We're lobbyists.
We're activists. So, maybe before you leave, we can share a meal and we can also share our stories and learn from you. So I want to translate what Steve also shared and you. Marar other bela rogu ilwase takmal laut keorgi del mo pangeltial al other tir CANN tiang a COFA Alliance National Network matamilskit sel website tertir www.cann.us emerkong mal loreng alwase ako kol somi mga tatuortir ang mal sabiul email ang moraloid ra LHENION at cann.us. Maloob el somi malkotokor bela e como email al mora bmoses at cann.us. Apening el ngaliket al kier orekon. Ya direk LOYD mal waset tiagita dengwal somi gukti mga tatuoringi. Adengwa 541-619-8861. Thank you so much. I was just in Washington in October and I went to renew my driver's license because I'm also a resident there. And they asked me a question for the first time. And when I first went to Walla Walla was 1987. So as you can imagine, as a student, everything's expensive, and they look at you and you're like, oh yeah, you're Mexican, yeah, you should be working somewhere. So first time, and I'm 53 now, and I went to renew my driver's license, and they asked me, do you want it to be 5 years or 10 years? And I said, well, I suppose you can put 10 years. I think I'll strive to be healthy and still have good eyesight for 10 more years. They said, oh, we're happy to do so.
Okay.
So the results of your work and the goodwill and your generous hearts in helping the COFA nations and the people, us, we will forever be grateful to you and for the work that you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for what you have done, and thank you for this occasion that we be able to share with the public about great things you're doing. And it's I kind of really feel that you went out of your way to do this, out of your appreciation. Really, we are very grateful. So when people do this kind of work for you, so we thank you. So we're about to close. So we give you opportunity to give a few remarks to close this program.
Well, it's I can't say enough how important this visit to Palau is. I said for the last 5 or 6 years, I want to go to Palau. It's time that we go to Palau. We've been to the other 2 islands, and Palau is so important to our history. You know, we visited your beautiful island. My wife spent hours in the water, in Rock Island and Jellyfish Lake, and this island is magical, and it's one of the rarest, most important places on the planet Earth. And we appreciate the care your people are giving to the island, the conservation and the love that your people have for it. And I feel it. And I feel that this is a very special place, and you are a special people. And whatever we do will never be enough to repay what you've done for us and what you're doing for the free world, because your land is so important. To the free world, not just the United States, but all of the world. So we are just blessed beyond measure to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the program.
Yes. Do you want to leave a statement? Message for perhaps medical field or?
Exactly. I would like to mention that in-state tuition in Oregon also includes Oregon Health Sciences University, which has a really top-notch nursing program. And we were speaking with President Tale at the PCC, and I believe you can get a 2-year degree of the basics and PCC, and then transfer to OHSU, and then come back to Palau and be just an amazing medical professional.
Yes.
It would be wonderful.
Okay.
We are in desperate need of medical professionals. So thank you.
So as I said, consider us new recruits.
Yes.
So you can go home knowing that right in public you recruit 2 people.
Moses and IRENE already.
Yes. So thank you very much, and we don't say goodbye. We just say Mauri. We'll see you again.
Right.
See you later. That's what it
Otherwise, I won't miss the program.
Komal Masaul, makuk next week.
So long, tata.
Marang mola mayok au ngil madangali armul belaw isay yaul akmul mogon